These two have been playing against each other over and over and over again. And you know what? I'm here for it. Spawning in the top right-hand corner of game number 1 in today's best of 5 series. We're looking at none other than Clem's main command center. Clem, of course, the world champion of StarCraft 2, widely considered to be the highest ranked Terran. His opponent, though, in the opposite corner with the red Protoss pieces, we're looking at none other than MaxPax's main Nexus, and MaxPax is currently the #1 Protoss. This particular series is the finals of the WardiTV Monday, and it was played on Monday. Well, depends on when you're watching this, but it was played, at least as of me casting it, in the week that this is going live. Yes, this was played on Monday. Now, this is just one of the many series that these two have recently played. I did, for example, cast that $7,000 series they recently had. That was the finals of the big Lulu Cup, but they have been, or actually, it was the Lulu Cup finals. 2 different tournaments. Anyway, these two have been playing against each other over and over and over again, and I'm pretty sure that I could do an entire week of just Clem versus MaxPax. If I take replays and series they have done over like the last maybe 2 to 3 weeks or so, I could probably fill an entire week of YouTube uploads with just them facing off against one another. It's that common. Yeah. Somehow, some way, they seem to face each other in the finals more often than not. You would imagine at some point you start meeting in the quarterfinals, maybe the semifinals, but it's pretty much all best of 5s. Day in and day out, these guys are playing for a couple $100 here, a couple $100 there. It is interesting, actually. So MaxPax has been really, we're gonna go for the forward rich base. MaxPax he's been playing in every online cup ever since, well, he's been good at StarCraft. He's been playing in every single one of them for several years now. Clem, I mean, he won nearly $500,000 over the summer in one singular tournament. A lot of the programmers, obviously, I mean, they are human. At least the majority of them are human, as far as I know. A lot of them like to, for example, buy groceries and, you know, pay for things, right? Like, that's something most humans need. I think Clem, he just wants to play. I think he's one of those players who doesn't... He's not just great at StarCraft, but he actually really loves playing the game. He has come out a couple of times and mentioned that after winning the Esports World Cup, after becoming the world champion, he purposely did not take a break. So a lot of pro gamers take a week, 2 weeks, a month, whatever. Clem apparently has not at all. So he's been playing. I think he took like a couple days off right after he won the World Cup. But other than that, no extended periods of him not playing StarCraft. And it really shows. Now, he was a little afraid. He mentioned that as well, that at some point he's going to burn out because of it. But, I mean, it's been like half a year, and he is still looking absolute top of the class. And honestly, all of these small tournaments, they do add up. There is actually quite a lot of... if I look... hold up. MaxPax, Wikipedia. MaxPax only plays online cups. Yeah, MaxPax has actually earned roughly $150,000, $100 at a time. Like that's basically the majority of MaxPax's tournament earnings over like the last maybe year and a half, 2 years or so. He never goes to offline events, which is usually where the big money is at. But MaxPax just chipping away at all those online tournaments. He's doing all right for himself. Well, anyway, these two are very aggressive. So TVP in general tends to be a relatively passive early matchup, right? Or early game matchup, like especially when Terran still needs to go into like Stimpak and combat shields and +1 and all the rest of it. Usually Terrans maybe go for one Widow Mine drop and that's about it. And Protoss players like to macro up and sit back until those attacks really hit them in the face. When these two go up against each other, it is non-stop action. Like what we have in this game so far already as well. So MaxPax got the natural expansion blocked. He decided to go for the forward base. Not usually, and that's a good hit, not usually the... yeah, best choice. A lot of Protoss players like to just kill the engineering bay and expand over on the low ground, or they go for the base over here. MaxPax wants to apparently go for the rich Vespene gas geyser nice and early. And he's gonna just be hyper-aggressive with Blink Stalker. And I guess, as long as you're out on the map and you can snipe your opponent's medevac like that, you can focus all your attention on being aggressive. And when you're being aggressive, what in the world is Terran going to do about you having that rich Vespene gas geyser? It's not a major advantage. It's not like it's going to be the end of the game or whatever, but Clem is gonna have a hard time addressing it if he is constantly hit in the face by those blinking stalkers. Okay, now there is a prism. A robo facility has obviously been placed forward, which I quite like. One of the big advantages is that you can build one of those important tech structures closer to the Terran side of the map, and that means that the prism also arrives a little earlier. Can we continue dancing? That's the question. Well, we're going to try. My god, that's a deep blink. Good pickup so far, though. One siege tank goes down. Very risky plays. He's unloading the very low HP ones. No blink available on one of those stalkers yet. Yeah, that was 2 stalkers for a siege tank and a bit of damage as well on the marines. Not bad at all. Are we going in for round 2? Of course we're going in for round 2. That's what no, that's what MaxPax said and did. Let's see. Yeah, there's enough tanks now, though. I think it's about time for those stalkers to go home. Charge on the back of this, too. Finally, we have Stimpack. I do always find this funny, though, because a lot of the casts of Terran versus Protoss that I do, I kind of feel like the gameplay begins. Yeah, maybe that's a bit extreme, but a lot of the games sort of start when Terran finishes up this upgrade. And these two have already been breathing down each other's necks here for the last 5.5 minutes. Maybe the first minute was kind of tame, but they've been hitting each other in the face ever since they could. Very quick Storm on the back of this as well. I quite like it. Storm has become very popular again. Super powerful. Terrans usually in this matchup don't think about going any sort of ghost until the 3rd command center is set up and ready to go. And even though the 3rd command center is already halfway done, it'll likely be at least a minute or 2 until Clem is really considering a ghost academy. And a lot of Terrans, now that the ghost is 3 supply each, they don't really like it as much anymore. They really are deviating away from it. It is really quite a bit weaker than it ever used to be. And it's giving all of these High Templar quite a bit of time to dominate the battlefield. MaxPax already wants to go into a 4th Nexus now. Oh, that's beautiful. I like it. He does show that he went for the High Templar. But I guess feedbacking a Raven is a nice little advantage to going for the Templar. Oh, not bad. Make an extra Archon. So, the High Templar with Storm Energy. There were supposed to be 4, now there's 3. They are setting up over here inside of the Prism. Charge is done. +1 is done as well right now for Clem. He's got the combat shields and Stimpack and all the rest of it already finished as well. He is just trying to play very safely. Now, at least he gets to pre-split. That's big. Right? If he clumps up all of his units, takes 1 storm on all of his bio, that's a problem. That's why Jimmy and all of his friends are not holding hands here. Still dangerous, though. They can very easily be tugged into one big pile. Yeah, I think there's enough bio to keep all of this around. Oh. Yeah. MaxPax actually needs to be careful that he does not fall behind economically. He wants to see if he can win the game right now. The aggression early on has been good, but this can very quickly turn into an overextension. Finally, the Raven has got some energy for an auto turret. Zealot run by. Oh, we're trying to come in from every angle. He's trying to see if he can collapse on top of all of these Terran units. Zealot's coming in from the top, from the left. Main army over here. Storm's trying to keep this army at bay. Siege Tank's still having a good time. Big warp in right now too. A Viking is available to start working on that prism, but the warp in is already completed. SCVs have decided to repair the siege tanks and at the very least keep them alive for a little bit longer, but MaxPax just barely has enough stuff. Next up, we find ourselves on Whispers of Gold. Now this is the natural expansion of Protoss. Apparently Clem has decided to go for something a little bit more aggressive. I really like what I'm seeing, though, from MaxPax lately. Super good player. And there's always, like, there's one theme, right? So Clem has had this. I feel like Serral very strongly has this, too. When they are feeling good and they're playing good StarCraft, they make very confident plays. No backing up, no second-guessing themselves. And I feel like that previous game was a perfect example of exactly that. from MaxPax. Now, this is a little bit awkward. I think he saw the SCV coming in from a weird angle. It is just going to be a Reaper play. If MaxPax knew, he would probably go into a Zealot now. So I don't think he picked up on the fact that the Reaper or the SCV built something right outside of this area too. I feel like MaxPax is super strong though when he's not second guessing himself. Sometimes there's a little bit of delay, and that seems to be what costs him the most. Well, Stalker coming up. The dancing has already begun. Trying to save the probe by sending it into the Vespian gas geyser. Obviously, Clem will know the timing at which that Stalker will pop. He did not build a bunker for nothing. So, this is all becoming a little bit awkward, but very playable here for Protoss. You just have to, once again, be making all the right decisions. Like that previous game, it kind of looked to me like MaxPax thought, oh, this guy is dead when he killed the Prism. Or the Medevac, rather. The Terran Prism. With the 2 Widow Mines inside of it. Like, he hit that thing in the face and it was just pretty clear that he was feeling strong ever since that point. Okay, so. Command center inside of the main base here for Clem. Not really taking any risks. Obviously, he can salvage the bunker and get some of his money back. No shield battery over here is curious. I wonder if he... oh, lovely zoning right there with that grenade. I wonder if he should add one into the mix. Probes decide to run away. Okay. Target firing so far, though. Mostly just on all of the units that can actually attack. And this is a great exchange for Clem. He didn't really kill any economy. And he's still obviously making Hellions too. And he's also still making Reapers. There is certainly a time to give up on that, but... he's thinking, I will deal with all of my opponent's attacking units first and then go into the worker harassment. 3 probes is decent. But obviously this is quite a big commitment too, right? So we do have additional barracks right now coming up at home. But any sort of Stimpack research now is going to be very delayed. So this aggression is nice. The damage is good. But you have to justify all of the time that you lose. Well, I don't think it could have really been much better than this, though, so... so maybe this is indeed worthwhile here. But it is going to allow MaxPax to do whatever he likes for the next couple minutes. Well, I say that. The follow-up is immediately into the Blink, and then also into the Cloak Banshee. Hellions drive into the main base. 3 additional probes. 4? I think that'll be the end of it. One of the cars goes down. Oh, he forgot salvaging the bunker. No! The piggy bank bunker! How are you gonna send your kids to college, Clem? Isn't that why you saved the bunker? Well, actually, he lives in France. Anyways. There is a Banshee out. He's gonna try and sneak through the bottom left. MaxPax doesn't have much vision out on the map. So, it's not gonna be likely that this will get scouted. Blink is not yet done. It's a little awkward. Yeah, I was gonna say, there is a siege tank in the back. Loses one of the stalkers there. Yeah, and this is now a much more difficult game for Max. This is very much so up to Clem to just pile on the pressure, and Clem is so good. I feel like Clem is by far the best Terran in the world when it comes to the momentum-based playstyle. So the aggression starts with Reapers, the next line of attack is going to be into Hellions, now we're going into Banshees, and it's just like, it's layers of Terran, you know? It's a wedding cake of Clem. It's an ogre, an onion of strategies. What I'm trying to say is that there's a lot of momentum-based aggression, and the next line of attack is going to be a real scary one. Now, we don't yet have Stimpack. We don't yet have any tech labs here, and that is going to slow everything down. I mean, there's one tech lab over here, but no Stimpack, no combat shields. That is going to slow down the momentum a ton. So Stimpack will start up over here. Combat shields will begin over here in that other tech lab. Oh, really? Okay, so we're just going to do it the other way around. Fair enough. +1 is coming. What? Ah, okay, we're doing the big switcheroo. This is all a little bit awkward, though. And you can see some second guessing here on Clem's side of the map. Third CC starts up. He already had a second tech lab, so apparently we're going to just remake it over here and maybe go into some Widow Mines or something, but there we go. 6 minutes and 40-ish seconds is when that Stimpeg research finally begins. And this is when Terran just needs to chill. Like, you just kind of sit here. Protoss can do whatever they like. Now, what is he doing? There's a sentry going across the map together with 4 stalkers. I think that's a miss rally. Yeah. Observer, by the way, gets sniped. A full scan. Looks like MaxPax just wants to sit around on Stalkers and Zealots for now. So he has all the time in the world to make a transition towards something else. But apparently we're going to go for 8 Gateways, Zealots, and Charge. That's the plan. He does have a 3rd Nexus. The one over here. He is going to be able to pile on quite a bit of production. But there is no denying that Terran is significantly ahead at this phase in the game. And this is one of those really difficult moments, I think, for Protoss. Like, this is one of those moments in the game where you know you're kind of screwed, but also you can't really leave the game. But also, teching up feels impossible, but also you can't really, you know, expect the Terran to make significant slip-ups here. It's especially bad if Clem just takes the 3rd base and sits on it. There's an innuendo there somewhere. Anyways, he is gonna land it. Then go for the orbital command. We'll probably go into a little bit of a worker transfer somewhere. Stimpeg finishing up. Clem has started up a big push. It's just so much stuff. Right? Like, yeah, this is the real difference over here. It is just so much stuff, but it's also like high quality stuff. These are not siege tanks from like, you know, Temu or something. These are like high quality siege tanks. Rolled out of the factory. Their paint is still looking crisp. There's little stars painted on their it's nice. Now this is what MaxPax has decided to go for. It's a Zealot run by that is mostly designed to buy time. He knows that the tanks are there. He knows that the Terran army is on the prowl. And he needs to try and buy as much time as possible. He went into the Robo facility, the Robo Bay. We do have maybe a Disruptor potential. I mean, I don't hate it. Probably Colossus. Yeah, Colossus is better. More reliable, but I also kind of feel like you need a lucky hit. And keep in mind, in that series where they played for $7,000 recently, MaxPax did bowl a strike. Like, 1 Disruptor. Like, he had 1 Disruptor, 1 Dream. And the dream was to destroy the entirety of the Terran army. And he managed to achieve exactly that. Now, don't lose the Prism. You cannot afford another mistake. Ghost Academy coming up. Zealot run by. Heading towards the bottom of the map. These Zealots are going to easily clean all of this up. Now, the bunker here is nice, but it's not going to do that much. Clem, though, is thinking about this attack right over here. Base at the 12 o'clock is in a world of trouble. Colossus now available. No ranged upgrade on it yet. Zealot run by goes into the main base too. Prism, though, is going to get sniped down by those Phoenixes. Zealots have gone away from the natural and they're thinking about going back around. Maybe head on over or maybe collapse on top of those siege tanks in the back. That's the plan. Yeah, try to collapse on top of these siege tanks, but I love the Widow Mines. The Widow Mines are almost like hellbats, you know? What we see with Zorkling run-bys. They are set up in such a way that the Zealots can be taken care of. It's a good attempt here by Max. It's probably the best he's going to get, but really nice anticipating here as well by Clem. MaxPax is basically just looking for any mistakes, and maybe this is one of them. Zealots now get surrounded. Colossus is still alive. Oh! Okay. Well, you know what? That was way better than I thought it was going to be for Max. That seemed like the game was pretty much over. But Clem, he wanted to kill the Nexus and then some. Maybe he should have just settled for killing the Nexus. Because now suddenly, MaxPax is, I mean, I wouldn't say comfortable, but at least he held a very scary moment in the game. His main problem is that he lost that Nexus, right? Like, losing that Nexus, that was costly. This Colossus, by the way, lived most of its life without the ranged upgrade. Still has 13 kills. Low HP. But he's keeping this entire Protoss player alive. Okay. I really thought that Clem saw the Zealot run by, actually. So I'm a little surprised he let those siege tanks... I mean, I wouldn't say he let them die, but... He saw them, and then he zoned against them initially. And then maybe he thought they had regrouped with the main army or something, but then they were still around. A little funky. But losing those siege tanks really did take the wind out of his sails there. Jimmy snipes the 4th base. Or wanted to snipe the 4th base. The Viking count is good, though. The Viking count is real nice. I'm still liking this position way more here for Clem. But it's showing us what is possible when you are really, really good with Protoss. Good targeting there, too, on the Ghost. Oof. A Stalker for a Ghost? Not bad. Terran army is looking big, but not as scary as it did a couple minutes ago. That Colossus is likely going to go down. That is the hero Colossus from earlier. Oh, he's still around for now. Colossus is still roasting a bit. Zealot run by once more, ready to flank. Second Colossus gets targeted down. Clem clicks the wrong target. Colossi eventually are falling. A third one just joined the battlefield. Stalkers blink underneath, though, to try and get rid of as many of those units as possible. There is enough bio on the ground to keep all of this going. Another Colossus is certainly going to fall. Messy. Messy here from Clem. Not that crisp execution that we are used to. And is this going to be a clash between the armies, and the armies do mostly trade out, then it's still fine for Clem, but he did not kill his opponent's 4th Nexus. Clem, though, did make a 4th command center of his own. Yeah, the target firing misclick right there with the Vikings was quite painful. The rest of the micro was good, though. Yeah, he may still have enough reinforcements right now coming in. That economical advantage here has been really good. There is a planetary coming up at the 6 o'clock position now, too. MaxPax is re-expanding all the way towards the top right. Colossus number 5 has popped out, but it is going to get sniped pretty quick. Nexus over here is likely to fall next. Good EMP there. Softens up a lot of the Stalkers. Zealots, though. Okay. Mostly just here to tank some damage. Clem gets the job done in game number 2. These two, they are very evenly matched. I don't know if they're tired of playing against each other yet, but I enjoy watching it, that's for certain. They are definitely pushing each other, though, to, like, next levels. Because they play against each other so much, but because they're also that good at the game. They are actually just, well, I wanted to say single-handedly, but them together, double-handedly, four-handedly, they're... I think they have 2 hands each. Anyways, they're pushing the matchup forward, right? Is what I'm trying to say. And it's this hyper-aggression early on that I feel like is really emphasized when MaxPax plays against Clem and when Clem goes up against MaxPax. They are just hitting each other in the face from the word go. Again, just non-stop aggression, and it's difficult to really read the state of a game. I feel like that's something that's kind of lost when you're casting a lot of games, and obviously when we can see everything that's going on, like we can look at the supply count and the production tab and everything. These two don't have that information. So when you're playing and you're trying to do a million things at once, you also have to constantly be gauging the state of the game right now from your opponent's point of view and how much more economy or less economy you have at that point in time. That is not easy. It's easy when the game goes according to plan. Oh, he snipes the SCV. Oh, this command center is so late. Oh, that was cheeky. It's tricky. It's tricky. Like, it's very easy to look at the minimap and be like, oh yeah, no, this is fine for MaxPax, or oh, this is great for Clem. It's nice when you get to sit back for 6 minutes as a player, because you know whether or not you executed your build perfectly, right? And you can probably guess how good your opponent has executed their builds, and then you can sort of determine, oh yeah, I did it better than them, so therefore I am now ahead. But when you're hitting each other in the face the entire time, I mean, you're hoping that the opponent is gonna make like a macro slip up, or just, I don't know, make a production error, or don't build their tech in time, or something along those lines. But when that doesn't happen and you're just constantly hitting each other, you get some very funky games like these two are displaying. I think when Clem goes up against your regular Protoss players on the ladder, aka your regular top dog grandmasters, he probably defeats them most of the time by like minute 8. I would imagine both MaxPax when he goes up against Terran and Clem when he goes up against Protoss on the ladder, they probably win the majority of their games by like minute 8. Just from being aggressive and hitting each other in the face. But these two constantly play long games against one another. It's just because the opponent refuses to lose. Well, this is going to be a game on King's Cove. Biggest map in the map pool. I don't know if it's physically the biggest, but it certainly does have just so many easy bases to take. Raven is going to come in from the side. It's going to be a Colossus transition again. Oh, he didn't drop the auto turret. A little bit of a slip up right there, but he keeps that Raven around for now. I know a lot of people like King's Cove. It looks nice and cozy, right? Looks like you can take a holiday to King's Cove. I mean, there's gold and jewels and stuff, just ripe for the taking, but I don't like it. No, I don't really like King's Cove. It was fun when it first returned. I enjoyed it for a couple minutes, couple games. But the more matches I see on King's Cove, I mean, maybe it's fine because most of the maps in the map pool are actually quite aggressive. A lot of action. But you know it's a passive map when MaxPax and Clem decide to sit here and just sort of macro up. Yeah, they want to be aggressive. MaxPax got a couple stalkers out here. He's like, yo, let's go out and play. But this bunker is perfectly positioned. Can't really zone anything. And because of the distance that you need to travel, it just doesn't make a lot of time. Or it doesn't make a lot of sense. Love the little sentry builds. Early game sentry scouts. I still feel like they're underrated, even though they're a lot more popular right now than they have been over the years. I would love to see more sentry builds, actually. I think sentry builds are really fun. For a little bit, we saw some sentry first play, which I think is not very good, but I wish it was more viable, you know? I don't know what it would take to make a sentry first build the way to go, but Clem is showing off his Stimpaks proudly. Look what I got. He shouts to the stalkers. Loses a bunch of marines in the process for it, though. Ooh, siege tank sieged up in the middle of the map. MaxPax shows off his blink. Raven has gone all the way around. It has been repaired back up to full. Previously, it took the route towards the bottom left corner. Now it's gonna try and see if it can get a little bit more lucky in this area of the map. You know what? I think it will be. Funny little unit. We actually have a lot of really cool maps. So currently the Team Liquid map contest is once more ongoing. So this is like a new map tournament that usually determines what future map pools in StarCraft 2 are going to be like. And the new themes are a lot more aggressive, like a lot more variety. And I really like it. This has been one of the common complaints that I've seen a lot. And it's also one of my personal complaints, actually, that a lot of the maps do feel kind of samey, you know? Like, yeah, we know what it takes to make a quote-unquote perfect map. And it's fun to watch perfect maps, but it's also really fun to watch weird maps and watch players actually have to actively problem-solve situations they've never been in before. Seems like a theme, at least, for the next map pool. Like, they're once more allowing, like, 4-player maps, even 3-player maps. I've always loved weird rotational symmetry in 3-player maps, even though they're historically very difficult to balance. But I think a little bit more funkiness like that, especially now that we have 9 maps in the map pool, is very viable. You just have to be very careful that you don't accidentally create an amazing Terran, Protoss, or Zerg map pool. That's usually one of the big concerns. Yeah, you can veto more maps, but if all the maps are incredibly good for Protoss, what do? If every single map is very easy to turtle on for planetaries, for example, right? Like, what do you do? I feel like the obvious answer is to switch maps more frequently, but not a lot of people seem to agree with me. I wouldn't mind having new maps like every 2 months. Oh! Mistake! Ay, ay, ay. A little painful. Do get the money back, but... So, this map, together with Abyssal Reef and then also Neon Violet Square, were brought back with this StarCraft 2 season. So, somebody decided that these were the 3 maps that we needed more of. I don't know why those 3 specifically, but... they just picked them. And, I mean, they're not bad maps. They're just slow. We're now 10 minutes in. We get some action. Let's see. MaxPax, do you have enough to break through all of this? I mean, we might just. Planetary Fortress on the low ground is going to have a hard time finishing. Okay. And this is apparently MaxPax's strategy. Try to deny as he picks up a couple of the SCVs. Try to deny this 4th base. Hey, look. It's that ability that Terran got. The one that insta-heals the supply depot for no apparent reason. That's a little buff they got in the most recent patch. I don't know why. Anyway, apparently the plan is to try and deny these expansions over and over and over again, whilst having them yourself on the other side of the map. Clem is going to drop some auto turrets once again. I think he really wants to. Yeah, MaxPax really wants to try and deny this 4th base. It's a dangerous play, but with the good zoning here, the SCVs are going to have to leave. Maybe the planetary can get denied. MaxPax was hoping for it, but he decides to retreat instead. And it looks like Clem is going to be able to secure this expansion. Now 2-2 is just about to finish up. Planetary is not yet done, though, so that does mean that those SCVs cannot really properly deal with all of this, but I think that was an overextension by Max. Quite a heavy one as well. Yep. Just like that. Clem secures a base and grabs the majority of the Protoss army. I actually have no idea who decides what maps are going to be in the map pools. I have no idea. Many times we have had map contests in StarCraft 2, and then there's like a top, I don't know, like say a top 9. You'd imagine since we have 9 maps in the map pool, those are the 9 that you... No! Oftentimes the winner doesn't even get picked. Like there's a winner for the map contest, and yeah, it doesn't get put on the ladder. I don't know who decides it. There's one supreme ruler somewhere in the hidden backgrounds of the StarCraft universe. Alright, MaxPax decides to sandwich this Terran army between zealots and more zealots. In the meantime, though, the Colossi that were shooting lasers from a distance, yeah, quite good. And I really like the landed Vikings. Landed Vikings actually shred a lot of this army. There is one Disruptor and a Dream. This time around, though, it's not going to deal much damage. Just one Marine ended up getting snatched there. Probes go down. Yeah. And I think this game is in the bag. I believe that there is not much more that MaxPax can really do about it. He got a little overly ambitious on the other side of the map. His game plan was to deny the opponent's 4th base. He will start up another expansion of his own. Clem's micro here is just too good. His game sense is too strong. At this point, MaxPax needs to be crossing his fingers and hoping that he can get a Disruptor hit. Well, it's happened before. Look at that guy. Too cool to even use his Stimpaks and run a little bit quicker. Cool guys don't look at explosions, right? It's like a Michael Bay movie right here for Clem. As he backpedals against those Novas. He's managed to cut these units off. It does create a bit of a sandwich potential, I guess. A lot of Terran units are now going through the center of the map too, together with a command center. I mean, I would love it if you place the command center over here and make a planetary fortress, Clem. Okay, that was a miss rally. GG gets cold. It's going to be Clem who obtains a victory here. Amygdala is next. It's match point here for Clem. And I'm guessing MaxPax doesn't like it. So we're going for a start. No, it's a gateway build. It's a proxy gate. Okay, so a double gateway opener. I don't think we can really consider this the good old MaxPax build. We had a MaxPax build way back in the day that was pylon into gateway. A weird strategy. Made a lot of sense at the time, but Terrans have been building command centers inside of their main bases now. And just in general, they've been playing it a little bit differently, obviously, than they did back in, like, what, 2021 maybe? 2020? I'm not exactly sure. Anyway. MaxPax is still looking to be the aggressor in this particular match. Now, the problem when you go for a proxy gate like this and you make a lot more Stalkers is you generally can't go for as quick a, like, say, a Twilight Council or anything along those lines. So, yeah, you can make a lot of stuff. Yeah, the stuff is gonna catch the Terran player off guard, generally. But a lot of the Protoss units are only good when you get their Twilight Council upgrade. Cyclones here, for example, are good right from the get-go. There is a Cyclone upgrade that you can get, but Cyclones in general are good units. There's the Twilight Council going up. These Stalkers, they will have to dance. Let's see. Clem is always ready to dance. That's his superpower. SCVs are gonna run down, though. Okay, Cyclone will be popping up in just a moment. Hellions, in the meantime, going down as well on the other side. 3 probes, not bad. Looks like the SCVs are pulled right now for repair. Perfect timing right there by Clem. He is not going to be able to finish up that Stalker, although, well, he's brought a medevac to the party too and shoots it down at the last possible second. Here's the reinforcing Protoss units, though, from the other side of the map, joining in as well. Hellions have returned back home. Good targeting there by Max. Marines also running very low. The medevac tries to help out that Cyclone with some additional lock-on. But obviously when you pick up the Cyclone, you keep it alive, but you also break the lock-on cooldown. One more Marine goes down. Nice movement here by Max. This is way easier to control in general in my mind for Protoss than it is for Terran. Such a variety of Terran units just makes it much harder. Oh, and actually the siege tank. Okay, good positioning there by Max. Shoves his units around. SCVs pulled to the front as well just to soak up some damage. That Hellion finally falls too after roasting 3 probes on the other side of the map. Got to put in a lot of supplemental damage. SCVs get snatched up inside of the medevac, and they will stay alive. Still, though, this is a very dire spot here for Clem. Blink is coming. It's about a third of the way done now. And MaxPax is gonna just dial this aggression up a notch. Natural expansion still not secured properly. No mineral line at the very least that will be mined here anytime soon. And in the meantime, even though some probes did fall on the other side, MaxPax is mining. Yeah, Blink is just going to make this way harder. Now, one thing to note is that MaxPax needs high ground vision in order to blink into the main base and to properly see the siege tank. He doesn't have any way to get high ground vision right now, other than by moving a Stalker up there, which is, yeah, kind of dangerous. We do have a robo facility right now on the back of this, so he could go into... Oh my god, we can just walk? I mean, I guess you can use the Adept as well with the Shade ability to get up towards that high ground. He's also built a 3rd Nexus in the meantime. Siege tank does fall. Liberator is going to force those Stalkers to back off. Prism? Yep, Prism will be coming up. I think it makes a lot of sense. Oh, and he decides to blink underneath, and apparently upon seeing Blink, Clem realizes that he is not gonna stand a chance. MaxPax didn't even need the Robo. He didn't even need the 3rd Nexus. All he needed was, well, more of the same. And that means that it all comes down to this. Our final game in today's Best of 5 series, in this particular Grand Finals, is on Ultra Love. Big shout out, by the way, to Wardy for hosting these tournaments. Very, very nice to see. There's a bunch of new weeklies again. So, once upon a time, ESL used to be running weeklies. They did this for several years. One for the Korean server, one for the American server, and then one for the European server as well. They've recently stopped doing those, but the community has come in clutch, and a lot of events are being organized. I've been supporting, actually, quite a few of them myself. Which is why I got these replays. It's, yeah, I think it's important, right? So there's definitely, it's nice to have big tournaments, right? It's really nice to have those big events for obvious reasons, with lots of money on the line and lots of cool games being played. But I also think it's important to have weekly events, regular cups. I'm sure MaxPax and Clem agree, because they play in everything. But I do genuinely believe it is one of the ways to keep the game interesting and to really keep the meta forward, right? Like to keep it pushing forward. When there's only a tournament happening every once in a while, players are not going to improve nearly as much as if they are playing every single week. Plus, as somebody who makes daily YouTube casts, and, you know, it's also useful when there's more games rather than less. Yeah, one of the big downsides of MaxPax going up against Clem all the time is that they don't really play anything super weird, so I can't clickbait my YouTube titles. Yeah, that's a bit of a... There's not going to be a Tempest Rush. We're not going to see battle cruisers. We haven't even seen Tier 3, actually, in this entire series. These games are just over too quick. Not like they are allergic to it. Anyways, medevac drop going in. This is much like game number 1, except at the time the medevac got sniped. A couple probes will be chosen. There's another one inside of the main base, or another group of Reapers, another bit of aggression here. And this is much better than what we had in game number 1. A bunch of Reaper bones are still, well, jolting out of their arms. But 6 probes in total. Getting a Stalker as well there for 2 Widow Mines and 2 Reapers. Not bad whatsoever. Where'd the medevac go? Okay. It made its way home. Keeping the medevac alive is actually really nice. Ultra Love is always nice. I've noticed Ultra Love is a fan favorite, mostly visually. I've noticed a lot of people don't really care so much about the map layout. The map layout is very forgettable, but visually the map is very pretty. I like the strong LEDs. Bonus points when the player that spawns in red spawns on the red side of the map. Player that spawns in blue spawns on the blue side of the map. Third Nexus coming up right now at the 12 o'clock position. MaxPax not finding himself in a very comfortable spot, but he's got a Prism and 4 Stalkers. And to a man with a Prism and 4 Stalkers, every Terran base is vulnerable. At least until there's too many Vikings out to properly go in. This is, by the way, one of those things that can very easily lose you the game as well. Like, if you lose the Prism with 4 Stalkers in it, that's game over. Terran's gonna go and kill you. We see MaxPax cruising along those bases all the time, as if it is not one of the most risky things you can do. We know there's a Viking out. We know there's a Raven. Oh, well, one of the Ravens, or one of the Terran units here in general, gets targeted down. He wants to really get that Stimpack tech left, though, and that's exactly what he is gonna be able to maybe get. Oh, yo, he doesn't get it. He doesn't snipe it down. Maybe a misclick, maybe he was a bit overconfident. I think that's probably the thing that happened there. He assumed that the Stalkers would be able to just pick it off and he would get some bonus Marines as well. Now, sadly for him, the tech lab stayed alive and Stimpack is not gonna get reset. Still, though, only 3 Stalkers in total. And not the end of the world. We do have to send that mule back to mining now. Hello. Hello. You don't get a lunch break, dude. I know you just finished your assignment, but... Okay. Well, I guess it was still a couple... maybe 200 minerals or so. That could have been mined by that mule. That MaxPax ended up gaining. It's going to be a Robo Bane right now on the back of this, together with, once more, the charge. No, we don't get any mandated breaks in the Terran Dominion, I don't think. I've always wondered, you know when the SCV says, woohoo, overtime? It's my best American accent. Are they being ironic, or are they actually excited to be working overtime? Can never tell. I feel like the voice actor also didn't know if it was ironic. So he didn't really put the emphasis on sarcasm anywhere. Woohoo! Overtime. That's pretty much what it sounds like. Okay, so as soon as Terran is ready to move out, MaxPax is ready to move in. Maybe this is how it's done in Denmark. If you want to buy somebody's house, you just go stand in front of their door, and when they leave, you try to sneak in. He's been doing that with zealots at the very least. Now, there is a cheeky little missile turret here being a nuisance. That SCV is actually stuck. Bit unfortunate. Range coming up for the Colossi. And MaxPax is once more looking to collapse on top of all of these units. He's got little clumps of Protoss all over the map. But this is a dangerous call for him to make. Keep in mind that that early game aggression from Terran was very successful. And if he loses another big fight, he would be in a lot of trouble. The one Immortal over here in the Sentry are very interesting. Siege tanks, careful, lads. Those siege tanks almost killed their own SCVs. I think the Zealots should have actually committed. If they committed for a little bit longer, there's a good chance that the siege tanks would have shot at one of the Zealots that then would have charged up on those clumped up SCVs, and Clem would have likely destroyed his own economy. Okay. 6 probes. 6 probes there. Cheeky little Raven. Dropping a bunch of auto turrets. Just being a jerk. Ghost Academy right now coming up as well. Okay. Clem, almost taking a page out of Spirit's book here. Just chilling, you know? Oh, found some prism. You never look a gift prism in the mouth, as my mom always says. Armory coming up. Second NG Bay here too. To go into the 2-2 research. And Clem is actually going to play this pretty passively. Especially for his sake. Obviously, this is now a 2-2 score. He doesn't really have a lot of wiggle room. No reason for him to be overly aggressive. But we have seen this go wrong so many times, right? Where right now, you're playing against Stalkers and Zealots. Right? Maybe an Immortal in there. Maybe a Sentry. But you're playing against easy to dissect units. Yeah, if you buy time, you can make your own army more complex. But we have seen so many games over the years where Protoss then gets Colossi, and they get Storm, and they get Disruptors, and suddenly they have every source of splash damage under the sun. And that's now what MaxPax gets to. I still don't really like this position that much for MaxPax, but there's about 1,000,001 ways in which this can go horribly wrong for Clem. Obviously, in his mind, he's like, well, maybe I shouldn't make mistakes. Right? Like, maybe if I don't make mistakes, yeah, then it's not a problem. Like, if I just EMP and then I dodge the storms that are left over and I don't take any damage from the Disruptor, like, I just play perfect. This is the right call. When you're ahead, try to get more ahead. Turns out the margin for error, though, is very tiny. Now, there's a lot of tight choke points on this map. Ultra Love in general, really good for siege tank clumps like that. New base coming up over here in the back. One of the Novas does connect. Just a Widow Mine though for now. And MaxPax is looking for an opportunity. Mostly just though an opportunity to try and distract. Decides to retarget here with whatever he can hit. Widow Mine deals a bit of splash damage to their own friendlies. Siege tank is gonna go down here in the end. We're still bowling on the right side of this army as well. Clem, though, gets the 4th base up and going here at the cost of 8 SCVs, but at this stage in the game, you can quite easily replenish them. Looks like the Vikings committed and actually sniped the Colossus. Ooh, okay. Hey, this is actually the first game where we see the players stacking up. So we have proper Disruptor play now, followed by a bunch of Dark Templar. In the meantime, +2 air is coming up for Clem, who will likely be thinking about switching into Liberators momentarily. Not a bad choice whatsoever. So it's taken 5 games, but both of them now don't want to lose anymore. Oh, big EMPs. Huge overextension here. Oh, by MaxPax. Lucky for him, he does have a bunch of Disruptors to force this Terran army to turn around. But that could have been a disaster. If he would have done that in the early game, like, that's game over right then and there. Fusion Core coming up. That will be for the Liberator upgrade, as well as the Medevac one. Ooh, okay. Quite a few Ghosts. And Marines. Caught in that circle. He's trying to catch this Protoss army to the best of his abilities, but... yeah, not getting the worst of traits, but I wouldn't consider it the best ones either. Bunch more Marines. And exactly the reason, right? Like, why those siege tanks are good is because, well, there's a lot of tight areas. The disruptors benefit from very similar map mechanics. Command center is going to get blocked over here. And obviously, against this many Vikings, the Prism doesn't stand a chance. He's going to reveal the Dark Templar, which I don't really like. This is actually not a good position whatsoever. Ooh, what a free gift right there from the Protoss. Good play, of course, by Max, who probably was busy looking at his army over here in the middle, not really paying attention to his little run-by. That was about 1,000 minerals, though, going in favor of Clem. Liberator range coming up together with +2. Advanced Ballistics is what that upgrade is called. Blink, though, also now available for the Dark Templar. MaxPax would love to be able to warp in a dozen Dark Templar all in one go, but at this point, he's going to have to replenish his main army instead. He doesn't really have that much money in the bank yet. Good engagement here for Clem. He's trying his best to dodge as many of those balls as he can. Chasing down whatever he can hit. Double Colossus now on the back of this too, but 4 Liberators at a time. And Liberators are so dangerous. When the army numbers grow, like when we get up to like 8 Libs, it'll be very difficult for Protoss to get a proper engagement. You can siege up on the ramp and this base is a free kill. It's expensive. It's not easily managed. This transition actually for Terran's super hard. But Clem is, yeah, handling it masterfully. So he's got the 3-3 now started too. We may even see the +3 on the Libs. Maybe an armor upgrade for any of the mech units. Yeah, there's the +3 attack. Oh, disruptors, or sorry, a Colossus gets snatched up right there inside of the Prism. We do have disruptors right now, though, coming in from the bottom right. Liberators have arrived, and MaxPax is going to have to awkwardly go all the way around the site. Another misrally disruptor over here. Clem is powering up. Clem is looking absolutely monstrous in this game so far. Couple micro slip-ups against the disruptors, but that's extremely hard to avoid. Other than that, this game has been pretty much perfect. 15 probes go down. There's not really a chance here for Max to make a transition into anything other than Stalkers. So if he wants to make... Oh, we even get an anti-armor missile thrown in there from that Raven from the early game. If he wants to make a transition now into Tempest, like that's not going to happen, right? So he needs Stalkers against those Libs. That'll really be his only play. 20 probes go down. And MaxPax has been pushed into a corner. Vikings still available. Obviously, they also benefit from the same upgrades as those Liberators. So they also deal more damage now. Disruptors mostly on cooldown. GG. This last game was easily the most dominant from Clem. Beautiful match, not really struggling in any way, shape, or form, displaying out a pretty much perfect Terran game. He's the one who obtains the victory in this best of 5 series, 3-2. What a banger.